The first major production I did sound design for was, I guess, would have been Full Monty as a member of Acme, and then Cinderella as an individual. I think all Broadway theaters present certain challenges, both acoustically and technically, mostly architecturally. I mean, these are old buildings, most of them. Most of the 40 Broadway theaters are built, before 1930. Designing sound in a building that's meant for the unamplified voice and unamplified music is always tricky. There's a little bit of a dance that you do with trying to honor the architecture and then also trying to overcome it as much as you can. There's the seating areas are geometrically very challenging. There's a lot of shadows from boxes. There are multiple levels, mezzanines. That said, something like Hamilton is in a theater I've worked in 5 or 6 times already. So there's also a wonderful kind of history, revisiting a venue and saying, oh, I'm going to try and get it right this time. I really missed those seats last time, or I remember from the last time I did this that area of the audience wasn't as well served as I would have liked. And you try and invent new ways, and maybe new gear has come along to help you do that, where you're applying all of that fresh. I'm not sure there's a typical path for sound designers on Broadway. I know I have a lot of friends and colleagues who do this as well, and we all kind of talk, and we know where each other came from, I think. Certainly, some of us were musicians. I grew up as a musician and started doing music as trained at a young age to play bass, and then started doing theater by way of music. And then from there sort of pivoted into sound because it kind of made sense to me. And I was also looking for other activities related to the theater craft that I could participate in before musicians were brought into the process. There's no typical path. I think the people who succeed in the business are, I think, first and foremost, smart. I think it's just a smart group of people. And I often say about people in show business in general that when you look at the people who succeed in the business, they probably would succeed in any walk of life, in any career they chose. It just is that they chose to tell stories and be part of teams that tell stories. And I think when I look around at my sound design colleagues on Broadway, it's no different. These are really sharp people with analytical minds and great demeanors and unusual ways of thinking. I think one of the things that I've learned very recently that I try and remind myself every day is to play offense, not defense. I say that to my crew a lot. I say that to my staff. And I remind myself of that when I walk into a theater, to use that pressure and to use those constraints and to understand them and to continue to strive. I think that that's something you can do regardless of your circumstance. If you can use that time to advance both the cause of the project and your own knowledge and your own idea about what might sound good and what might work in this situation, then you're winning, right? You're doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. I'm not sure there is something unique about what I do. I think it might be about who I am as a person. And maybe this is what makes my style unique, that when the curtain rises and the orchestra starts to play or the actor starts to speak or sing, I try very hard to reduce all of that noise and make myself just an audience member in that seat that night at that moment. If I have gifts, one of my gifts is the ability to be uncomfortable for a long period of time until I feel strongly about making a decision to make myself and everybody else around me more comfortable. I think sometimes we rush to judgment. Sometimes we just want to fix things as quickly as we can, which can often send you down a path that isn't productive in the long run. It can solve things immediately, but it may not give you the data you need to do something exceptional later. And I tend to be pretty resilient when it comes to discomfort. And I can sit in a theater for a long time feeling pretty badly about how things are going in order to make one positive change that gets us on the right path.